Something I've come to realize is that my brain is still sort of in transport fever mode, and if you've been following that series, you'll be aware that part of the challenge I set myself with that was to do things not necessarily realistically, but at least to limit myself to some of the geography that actually exists. I don't know if geography infrastructure is maybe the right word. Essentially, in Transport Fever, I said that we're not building a bridge from Belfast or from anywhere on Ireland to mainland Britain, and we weren't building a bridge from, well, we don't have to worry about this in Transport Fever, but the same logic applied here. I need to get over myself a little bit, is what I'm getting at, because we have demand from Douglas right here on the Isle of Man to Limerick. Now, what I could do is I could put more boats on the Dublin to Douglas line, and I actually already did. We now have 2 boats on this line. But all we're doing is creating a situation where people have to go from Douglas to Dublin, transfer to a bus, and then go to Limerick, instead of simply saying that Douglas to Limerick is something we can do by plane. We have options for this. We do have some expensive planes that could do this, and we might want to go with an expensive plane because there's like 90 people that want to do this journey. I just don't know that I want to, I don't know that I want to do this. I think I'm going to start with the 390 transporter, because I wonder if part of the reason there's so much demand is because we've not been servicing it. So we're going to see how this goes and hope for the best. It's entirely possible we might need more planes on this, but something we could do is when this plane takes off, which it's now done, we put another one on here. And when this plane takes off, which it has, we put another one on here. And that should mean that as one's heading back, one is taking off from here. It should put us in a pretty decent little spot where we have planes sort of routinely going back and forth, servicing Douglas and Limerick. Now, I don't know how many people in Limerick want to go to Douglas. It doesn't seem like there's actually all that many of them. We do have demand for Toronto, though, and that's kind of my long-term goal today, is to get some international flights going back and forth. I'm also trying to be somewhat mindful of keeping the game at sort of either 1 or 2 times speed, because there are so many entities going around here that when you get up to 3 times speed and as the game progresses, the frame rate just goes really, really bad. So that's something I'm being mindful of. I'm also setting myself the challenge of taking over London. That is something I would really, really like to do. I want to buy out this company. I want to buy out their hub in London, and I want to take over London. I have some ideas for how I'm going to do that. And it actually begins with St. David's down here, because I want to take over St. David's as well. Now, when it comes to St. David's, there is demand for people moving from St. David's to Aberystwyth, just up the coast. We have people from Aberystwyth wanting to go to Dublin and Limerick as well. So what I'm going to do is set myself up a little boat route. Maybe a boat, maybe a plane. I think a boat is probably the best bet. A little boat route that goes from Dublin to Aberystwyth. That way, when it goes back, that demand gets fulfilled. It goes from Aberystwyth to St. David's, and then when it goes back, that demand gets fulfilled. So we'll create this route. We have this little boat on here. There are people that want to go across. And once the boat leaves, my goal, plain and simple, is to put another one on that line, which might have been a little bit early, but we'll see how that works out. It's filling up as well, which is fantastic. And we'll put one more on there just to make sure that we're moving a really good number of people. I don't really know what the demand looks like. Maybe one more. Oh, we don't have any boats left in inventory. That's fine. So long and short, what I'm doing here is trying to get trust in St. David's, at least enough trust that I can buy out this hub. Now we have to keep in mind, to buy this out, we need, I think, 55% trust in St. David's. We have like 30 something right now, but going ahead and sort of servicing the needs of St. David's, and if we speed the game up to 3 times speed just for now, you can see that has pretty much put me up at 60%. So I can now buy this out, which gives me St. David's. Now, the reason everything hinges on St. David's is because now, obviously we have demand from Aberystwyth to Dublin, but now what we can do is go in here, we can edit this route, we can take out St. David's, we can maybe get rid of one of the boats. I think we'll just sort of keep the boats for now, so we have that little crossing. But what we can do is say St. David's to Aberystwyth to Bangor to, I don't know, Chester, maybe Wrexham. We could go to Wrexham. We could go to Liverpool. I don't really know what the demand is here now that I think about it. So let me just take a look. St. David's to Aberystwyth is absolutely a thing. Aberystwyth to Bangor is also a thing, which is being covered already. Bangor to Liverpool is a thing. So yeah, what we'll actually do is St. David's, Aberystwyth, Bangor. We'll do Chester, Liverpool. We'll kind of skip Wrexham just because. And this is going to be a bus route that goes up the coast here. So we'll get some road vehicles. We could do trains, actually. It might not be a bad idea to do some trains here. They carry more people. They're probably a little bit faster. They are a little bit faster, a bit more expensive. But I think since we have $54 million, I'm sort of willing to do this. So we'll build these tracks and that'll be a nice little connection to have. We'll go ahead and create this. The train isn't filling up in St. David's, which is fine. It isn't filling up in Aberystwyth. It is filling up in Aberystwyth. Never mind. Wow. Oh, wait, no, it filled up this way. That's fine. As long as it's making money, I'm not really too concerned about the train being completely full, and having this service in here is only going to be good for building trust in places like Aberystwyth and Bangor, Chester, and eventually Liverpool, which we're doing pretty well with. But that's not the main thing that I want to do. The main thing that I want to do is look at London. So at the moment, we have demand for people going from Sligo to London, from Cork to London as well. We have demand from Southampton to London, from Cambridge to London, from London to Felixstowe, which is being dealt with. The long and short of it, though, is that what I would like to do is create some big old train lines that connect St. David's through Cardiff to London via Oxford and whatnot. I want to get some trains that go from Truro, which is another place I'd like to take over, and go the entire way along the south coast of England, up through Brighton to London as well, up through Cambridge, Peterborough, Lincoln, and Kingston. I want to connect everything together because doing that is going to let me take over London. And that's sort of the goal. So the way I think I'm going to do this to start with is St. David's to Swansea to Cardiff to Bristol. And then I would like to go down to Exeter, Plymouth, and Truro. And this is going to let me sort of service this part of the country quite well. So we'll put a train on this as we usually do. Again, very expensive to do this, but that's okay. And we'll create that route. And that's going to just let people get around in a way that is hopefully going to be good. That train is also really full, so we'll put another one on there, and we'll do another one on there. So we'll have the 3 trains going back and forth there, hopefully moving people around, hopefully getting me enough trust in Truro, almost enough trust down here to take it over. Really kind of hoping we can get that 1% that we need in here. There we go. So now I'm taking this over as well, which means I can run some trains from down here all the way over and up to London, from St. David's over to London. This is the long game that I'm looking for. This is the plan. So we'll skip Bristol this time. We're gonna go straight for Gloucester. My pronunciation's not going to be great, but we're going to go all the way from St. David's to Felixstowe, straight across the country. And again, it's going to be a new train. Actually, it's going to be a little bit faster, which is very exciting. So we'll just go ahead and do something like this the entire way across. We will then create that route. And so I don't think it's going to be too busy in St. David's. That's kind of expected. We are already servicing St. David's. Swansea, relatively busy. Cardiff, not as busy as I thought it would be. Goes up to Gloucester. It is much busier, which is very exciting. It goes up and into Oxford. I probably could have done this train line a little bit better instead of auto building it, but that's fine. And then it heads over to London, where hopefully it is dropping a lot of people off, which is, again, totally fine. Picking people up in Chelmsford, Colchester, and then finally to Felixstowe, where it starts heading back. So that's good. Let's put another train on that route, just to make sure we have a couple going back and forth. And arguably, I'm going to do one more just to make sure we have 3 trains going back and forth. So the next and arguably almost final thing I want to do here is Truro, Plymouth, Exeter, Bristol, down to Wells, then Poole, Southampton, Portsmouth, Brighton, and London. And I think that's okay. I think we terminate that line in London. I think I'm all right with that. We'll do the big train again. We have some rails to build in here, which is making things look a little bit messy around here, but I'm kind of okay with it. And so hopefully that's going to give us a pretty good little connection. Now, the only problem I realize is I can't go from London north because I don't have a hub in here. I can't go from Oxford either. So if I wanted to continue north, I need to extend that line I just built up through Cambridge, Peterborough. I mean, we could go to Nottingham as well. I think those are sort of bigger towns. Maybe that'd be the way to go. London to Milton Keynes, Leicester, Nottingham, Doncaster, Leeds, Newcastle. We could just connect London to Edinburgh and Glasgow if we really wanted to, which could be kind of fun, actually. I'm not gonna lie. I'm kind of considering that one. Let me have a look at you. So what are you doing? This is that line. Okay. So after London, do I want to go to Cambridge? I kind of do, but I think we'll go Milton Keynes, we'll go Leicester, Nottingham. We're going through Coventry, so we might as well get that connection in there. So Milton Keynes to Coventry to Leicester to Nottingham to Doncaster, Leeds, and then Newcastle. We're going through York as well on this one, so I guess we'll put York in there, then Newcastle, then Edinburgh. Do I want to just go the full length? Do I want to go from like here up through Dunfermline? Oh wow, that's a loop. That's a hell of a loop right there. We'll do Glasgow. We'll do Inverness and Aberdeen. Yeah, that seems fun. That seems that seems like an interesting track. So how much for these tracks here? $290,000, $250,000, $163,000, 126, 282, 177, 152. This will be the expensive one. 453, followed by 630, 200 and whatever it was, 1.25 million, and 500,000. Okay. That's a really long route, and it's not going to be super efficient. But my theory is that if I put enough trains on this, eventually it will be. And so that now gives us a train line where you can get on a train down in Truro and go all the way to Aberdeen if you want to. That's possibly the longest line I've ever built in this game so far, which is, well, actually, no, it's not. On one of my other saves, I did build a line that goes specifically from London to New York to LA, to Tokyo, to Sydney, to Singapore, Dubai, and then back to London. So I did have one that loops around the planet quite intentionally, and that was quite fun, but surprisingly not very efficient. Now, something I do need to be mindful of is the fact that we do have limited inventory per month for trains, so I can't get any more of the Class 3700s. I can get some Class 56s though, which are the same speed and higher capacity. So we'll put one of those on there. And I'm not expecting it to fill up down in Truro, but it is going to start filling up as it goes through here. So we'll put another one in there. And that should be okay. It'll be busy at some point, which is what we're looking for. I am sort of expecting that it's going to just generally be quite a busy line. And I'm generally okay with that. I'm really not too worried about that. My trust down here in Truro is fantastic, which is great news. St. David's is fantastic as well. And here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to build a headquarters in St. David's because that gives me plus 20% or plus 10% trust in the country and plus 100% trust in St. David's itself, as well as plus 25% taxes on anyone else that goes through St. David's, which there's not too many people doing. But the thing is, that should lock St. David's pretty much as mine. We're getting bonus country trust. We're getting bonus city trust. And that's essentially how I'm going to try and take over London, is by servicing the parts of London that aren't getting serviced at the moment. Like Cambridge wants to go to London. I probably should do something about that. But we can also connect somewhere like Sligo to London and sort of deal with that. So having a look in here, there's 90 people that want to go back and forth. There's a bunch of people that want to go to Newcastle as well. So let's do some lines here. Let's figure this out. We'll go from Sligo to Newcastle, and it's what, 36 people. So we'll do a good old plane. I think we'll go for the Nimbus on this one, just because I don't think we'll build a hub in there. I don't think we need to go too crazy with big planes on this particular line. There's not that much demand for it. Once it takes off, we'll put another plane in there so that we have sort of the planes nicely spaced out. And once this one takes off, we will put another plane in there just to be sure that we're dealing with that demand, which it looks like we are not. I realize a lot of those passengers are going to be for other lines, and that's kind of annoying. Sligo wants to go to Manchester as well, which it is doing via a route from Dublin. Maybe we do, what about Belfast? Should I do Belfast? And Belfast to Manchester is a route that I've taken many a time. So let's create a Belfast to Manchester route. Let's use one of the bigger planes for this, because I suspect it'll nearly fill up, and I suspect it'll catch some traffic from, why am I doing this? This is what I mean. I'm in transport fever brain. I'm not doing things that make sense for this game. I'm doing, like, my brain is like, oh, but big planes don't go from Sligo. They go from Belfast to Manchester. That's why I'm doing the big plane. It's dumb. I'm being an idiot. There's no reason to do this. Like, there's not very many passengers that want to go from Manchester to Belfast right now. That demand doesn't really exist. And in Belfast, okay, there are people now that want to go there, but yeah. I mean, these guys, if we look at the Manchester thing, they can now go via Derry City to Belfast. So I guess I think we're just going to modify that line. It's dumb. It's making money, but it's dumb. So we'll edit the route. We'll put Sligo in there. We'll take out Belfast. We'll move it to the top right there and confirm that edit. And that's going to let people move back and forth, hopefully relatively quickly. And yeah, we are now dealing with that demand. London, same story, I think. So Sligo to London is going to be the 829 Clipper as well. Is it the Clipper? It is the Clipper. Yeah. So we'll create that route, and that should move a bunch of passengers from Sligo to London. And then we'll get them to Newcastle at some point as well. But for the most part, that should deal with a good amount of the demand that we have in here, which is good. That's what we're looking for. I'm also thinking that when it comes to Belfast, I'm going to build myself a little headquarters in here as well. Oh, can you only have one headquarters per country? That would make sense. I've got it down in St. David's. Okay. Is there anything I can do here to make Belfast more profitable? I don't think. The headquarters basically gives you some taxes from other companies that come through. So in that case, I'm going to build a headquarters in Dublin so that anyone else going through Dublin is... Wait, can I only have one headquarters? Is that a unique building? It might be. I'm actually not so sure about that. Interesting. Okay, it might be a unique building. In that case, what do I want to put in Dublin? I'm thinking, is Dublin doing okay with excess passengers? It's busy, but it's not too busy. Let's do a marketing agency, because this will increase passenger demand from this city. So we'll do that. We will level this thing up a bit so that we now have plus 50% traffic, which I think is great. And that should make Dublin that little bit more profitable for us, which is sort of what we're looking for. As for London, I now have 59% demand, which means if I can get $11.2 million, I can buy out London. And that's going to be really, really good for me. And there we go. I've got my hands on London, which is very, very exciting. And I'm very, very happy about that. Now, part of the reason I want London is because London is going to get a hub manager, and London is going to be given eventually a ton of money to expand the city. I'm essentially going to have the game play itself out of London, because it'll connect London to everywhere that London wants to go to. And that's going to be a lot of places. London's going to level up quite a bit here at some points. I would also like to, I want to have a look at this line, and I want to see how it's doing. Everything on it so far is making money. I would like to upgrade this train to this newer one with a higher capacity, just because I think that makes a good bit of sense. I'm not too sure if that line in general is going to be crazy profitable, but I'm sort of okay with that. It's servicing a lot of places in the country, which is totally fine. And I guess we should take a look at our vehicles and see how we're doing in terms of balance. So none of my road vehicles, oh no, some of my road vehicles are losing money. St. David's to Dublin, wait. St. David's to Dublin by bus, and it only does St. David's to Dublin. Why does that exist? Did I do that? Or does Dublin have a hub manager? Does St. David's have a hub? I did not do that. Did I? That seems silly. Let's get rid of that line completely. That's odd. How many vehicles are on that line? Let me get rid of you. Can I not get rid of, why can I not get rid of this vehicle? Hello? What? Can I, is it gone now? It's back. Does it keep buying it? I'm not sure why that line exists. That's really, really odd. And I don't quite can I remove these guys? Confirm edit. The route is invalid. I know it is. I want it to be. All right, so moving on from that just a little bit, I do want to have a look at Waterford because it's not very happy with me right now. There are a lot of people who want to go to Berlin, Porto Novo, and Brighton from Waterford. Now, Brighton is over yonder. There is a path from Waterford to St. David's to London, and then London to Brighton, but it is overcrowded. I think we'll build a little plane route that goes from Waterford. We'll use one of the smaller planes just because I kind of like doing it this way. We'll let that fill up a little bit, and once it leaves Waterford, we can go ahead and put another one on there. And then again, once that one leaves Waterford, we can go ahead and put yet another one on there just to make sure that people are moving back and forth in a pretty decent little way, and hopefully that's going to clear out Waterford to Brighton at the very least. Waterford to Berlin is an interesting one. It's quite a distance. We could do it. This is where I'm slightly tempted with certain bits of realism though, because they want to go to Porto Novo as well, which is so far away. It is a real bit of a distance there. So I think what I might do is a Dublin to Berlin route, although Dublin to Porto Novo is being done by, interesting, I guess Dublin to Lyon as a flight is an option, and then what, people are, I guess, getting a bus through, I don't know what they're doing, it doesn't matter. My thinking is we could do Dublin to Berlin, and then people from Waterford can go via Dublin to get to Berlin. I know I don't need to do the realism side of it, but it's just what I want to do, so it's what I'm going to do. And to be fair, by the looks of it, there is a little bit of demand. That's weird. If I selected Waterford or if I selected Dublin, hold on a minute. I don't want to do Dublin here. Dublin to Berlin, and I want a decent plane for it. I can't afford this one, unfortunately. I can't afford this one, so we'll create that route. There's no travelers, but I suspect, yeah, people are definitely interested in making that trip, which is very good news for me. And that's a pretty long haul that we've got going on there. That makes me quite happy. If we can get some more of those planes going back and forth, that'll be good. If we can get people in Berlin that want to go back to Dublin as well, which it looks like they do, that's pretty good for us as well. We also have people wanting to go to Warsaw. Should we do a Dublin to Warsaw route as well? Might not be a terrible idea. We do have people from Warsaw trying to go to Dublin too, so potentially not a terrible idea. Waterford to Berlin is sort of getting, well, sorted. It might be worth putting more trains on here as well, because I'm noticing these guys are quite, well, their capacity is not great. So we'll replace this one. We will replace this one as well, which I don't have the money for, so we'll not worry too much about it. We'll get the money, which we now have. So that should hopefully let us move people from Waterford to Dublin, which it seems to be, which means Dublin to Berlin should make a decent little bit more money, which is perfect. Oh, you know what I've just realized? I think the reason I have lines like this that are going from London to Paris by bus, I think the reason I have that is because I acquired the hub in London that was connecting London to Paris by bus. That would sort of make sense. Now, speaking of London to Paris by bus, I sort of want to go in and delete all these vehicles, and I want to redo that route as a plane route. So I want to go via air for this one, because essentially I want to get my hands on this at some point, because we need to get bigger planes. Now, getting my hands on a $67.5 million plane is going to be slightly tricky because I don't have $67.5 million. But if I can get a level 5 plane, we can connect London or Dublin to Toronto, which is somewhere that a lot of people want to go. And again, that's kind of my goal here. That's kind of my plan. So that's kind of what I'd like to do. Now, this is instantly looking like it's going to be kind of profitable. We have people wanting to go back and forth from London to Paris and Paris to London, which is perfect. If we can get more of these, is that another one? What are you doing? Paris, London. Wait, what is this one doing? What is this route? Paris to London to Dublin to, wait, I didn't realize I had this. This must be another line that I've inherited somewhere along the way. It is making money though, which is great. I didn't realize this was like a line. Oh wait, no, this is one that I set up, isn't it? I think this was like my original line trying to get influence in in London. Okay. I'm sort of okay with that. Having a direct London to Paris as well is totally fine. It's making money too, so I'm not really super worried about it. And as long as it continues to make money, I'm not going to be super worried about it. Now, here's an interesting detail. Perth up here in Scotland has a lot of demand for Paris, Brussels, and Berlin. So I think what we can do here, given that we have no valid paths really for either of these, I mean, yes, there's another company that does this. We have a Perth to Edinburgh, Edinburgh to Perth line here, which is using the ACA. I'm going to swap this out for a full coach, which apparently I can't do. We'll go for the one down from that, which apparently I can't do. We'll go for the one down from that, which I can do. I'm going to put another one on there, and then, well, maybe not that many. We'll put 2 of the coaches on there, and then Edinburgh to Berlin is a line that has some demand. And then what was the other one? Brussels. So Edinburgh to Berlin and Edinburgh to Brussels are some lines that I would kind of like to set up here. So we'll do Edinburgh to Berlin, which again, we kind of need these planes in here anyway. So I'm sort of okay doing this. We do need the money, which is going to be a bit of a problem. I'm not sure I have the money to make that happen. We could go for a smaller plane for now, just to get that route happening and get that route moving. And then the other one was Edinburgh to Brussels. Oh God, I don't know my geography. There it is. I don't know my geography well enough. I used to be really good at it once upon a time, but less so these days. At the very least, we have those lines now. They're making a bit of money. We can upgrade those planes at some stage to make us even more money, which I'm completely fine with. As long as I sort of maintain, you know, influence in Edinburgh up here in Scotland, I'll be happy. As long as I hold on to London, I'll be happy. Although London is very, very busy with people wanting to go, well, from Paris, from everywhere to Warsaw. That seems to be the big one right now. Do I want to do a London to Warsaw? We could. We absolutely could. I think we might be doing London to Warsaw. It's definitely possible. I wish I could search this menu to see what I've got going on. It's yeah, I've really got no idea. I don't think any of my lines are going there. So let's do London to Warsaw. We do have enough for a big plane for this, so we'll create that route. The plane fills up, which is great, and is instantly making money. When it gets to Warsaw, it does not fill up, but that's, you know, it's demand that we're now creating. It's a possibility. Never mind. People are, I think, wait, is that the plane there? That's the plane there. Okay. It's still making money. That's all that I really care about. It's making money. Oh, now this is interesting. People in Perth want to go to Östersund, which is, I've been there actually, right up here. It's beautiful. Loved it. That lake is really pretty actually. Just Sweden in general. Big fan. Where have I been? I've been here. I've been nowhere up that way. That's as north as I've been. I've been to Stockholm. It was great. I've been here. That was great. I've been here. Had a really good burger here. That was fun. I think I've been here. I've been to Copenhagen. I've been through Copenhagen Airport a few times. I've also been here. I was here a year ago for City Skylines 2. That was quite fun. We're not going to do a tour of where I've been, but just it's interesting that was the connection right there. Now, what I would like to do is go to, let's see, what are we overloaded with here? Are my buses from Edinburgh to Perth, why is it only that bus? I just put better, is there a hub? There's no hub managers here, right? Have we got a hub manager up this way? We do. Okay, Edinburgh maintain routes. It basically got rid of my better line and my better bus is what's going on there. I need to get the Edinburgh to Perth line to have actual coaches. That's kind of important to me. It's not going to fill up from Edinburgh, but it will fill up from Perth, and that'll get people from Perth to Edinburgh for the flights. That's kind of the point. That's kind of the idea. So hopefully that sort of works out. I'm not super worried if it's not super profitable. Also, I think the hub manager, because that line goes from Perth or from Edinburgh, yeah, the hub manager just downgrade. Okay, you know what? We're going to do this the other way around. We're going Perth to Edinburgh, and I'm going to have to build a hub in Perth for this to, you know, not screw up. That's kind of the idea. So create this, create the route, and that'll be fine. It's going through Dunfermline. So you know what? We will add Dunfermline to the mix just because we can, and that'll be fine. So that'll hopefully move people from Perth down to Edinburgh without getting screwed up. What I would now like to do is, since Edinburgh is sort of maintaining a lot of routes here, do we have Edinburgh to Brussels? We do. It is using a lot of smaller planes. I want to get rid of some of these smaller planes. In fact, all of these smaller planes. And I want to go in there and swap this guy out. Oh, we have the Stratus 132 now. That's exciting. Okay. That's exciting. Edinburgh to Brussels. Let's replace that plane and let's see if it fills up at all. I'm hoping it does. I know it's not a hugely popular line right now, but we should be able to sort of create some demand for it. And it's gradually getting busier, at least on the Edinburgh side of things, which is something I'm kind of okay with. Again, hopefully it sort of picks up a little bit. It'll be really annoying if it doesn't. Oh, there we go. There's a little bit of popularity. Okay. There's a little bit of, it's struggling. It's definitely struggling. I don't love that. How are we looking in here? If we look at Perth, you know what? They'll figure it out. Here's what they'll do. Here's what I want to do. Here's my goal now. I want to go to Dublin, and I want to go from Dublin all the way over to Toronto, because we can do that now, I think. Yeah, this guy, $114 million for a Stratus 132 with a capacity of 132 people. It has a range of 487 miles. We need to cover 3,263. This other plane can't do it. It can carry more people. So this is the one we need, which means we need $114 million, which, as it turns out, we now have. So let's create this route. Let's follow this plane. It is not filling up all that quickly, but all of the Toronto passengers across all of the UK and Ireland are now going to be making their way towards Dublin. And that's what's exciting about this. All of them are going to be heading towards Dublin so that they can get to Toronto. Anyone over in the US that wants to go to Dublin is going to be going via Toronto right now. I don't know if we have boats that are making that journey currently. We have planes that are going back and forth already, but this is my first transatlantic flight, and I'm very excited about that. I'm very, very excited about that. Now, I'm not expecting this plane to make a ton of money right away. It is going to need to fill up a fair bit. That's pretty good, though. Oh, that's exciting. Okay, 104 people. I can work with that. I can definitely work with that. We're looking at 84, 86 people. Yeah, there we go. There's the money starting to come in. Oh, that's perfect. That is so good. Okay. So the long and short here, oh, there we go. Now it's going back down. That's fine. That's all right. The long and short here is that we're going to want more of these flights. We're going to want people going from London to Toronto as well. So, well, actually, let's have a look and see what London wants. London to Toronto is covered, technically, but let's do my own London to Toronto run right. That's not where I'm going. Toronto right there. This guy, create the route. It's also probably not going to fill up all that quickly, but we have these two connections. We have all the people from Paris coming up to London. We have other connections to London as well. We have people that can go from Ireland to Toronto. It's just going to be, it's going to be a little bit of a slow burn getting it there, but this is good. This is very, very good. Now, what are you doing? This is Paris to Toronto. Ooh, I didn't realize we had some competition in here. That's interesting. Are you Paris to Toronto as well? You are. Okay, so I'm gonna need to make my London to Paris connection a bit better to encourage people to come up here, which admittedly it is pretty good. Now this is not being dealt with very well. That's interesting. So you guys, let me see here. What do you guys want to do? You want to go to there from London? I mean, we could do a boat down there. We have trains that could go down there as well. I might do that because we have another company doing, I guess buses. So yeah, let's do a train that goes London, Canterbury, Dover, Calais, Dunkirk, up to this place. We will get ourselves a train. We'll go for the big one. We'll build some rails because apparently that's the thing we need to do here, and we'll create that route. And that's hopefully going to move people down and get people, you know, coming up to London, doing their thing, doing what they need to do. Hopefully it makes them happy. Hopefully it works out. I'm kind of looking at this and thinking we could maybe put another vehicle on this. Although I don't think we have the ability to do that. So we'll put one of these guys on there just to change up a little bit. And that's, again, hopefully going to put us in a little bit of a good spot, get people moving back and forth and deal with that demand that we had in London, which is now gone. Now, London is admittedly quite overcrowded with people, again, from Paris, many of whom want to go to other places in France, Warsaw, St. Petersburg, some of them over to Cork, some to Kiev, Waterford, Antwerp. I could go down the list. I could just keep going. I could keep listing off countries. Eventually, we're going to get to plenty of them that I can't pronounce. There's a lot of people from Paris. That's the wild part. Let me upgrade the hotel a couple of times just so that we have a higher capacity. And let me do a marketing agency with a bunch of upgrades as well, because that's going to give us 100% more traffic from London to elsewhere. So that's going to mean that my little Toronto connection is going to be looking pretty good. It's not making money right now, that Toronto connection, but it will. The Detroit connection exists too, which is quite exciting. I'm a little bit concerned that this isn't making money. I'm not gonna lie, I don't love that. I'm also noticing that some of these guys want to go to Limerick, Dublin, and Sligo, so that's a bit of a worry, but there we go. There's 11 million from that one. I can work with that. Dublin is also quite swamped right now, so let's put some money into the hotel here, and let's do, is that the hotel? That's a marketing agency. Let's give them a hotel as well, just to make sure that we're okay. And I guess we just sort of stay on top of things here. People from Dublin want to go to Detroit and Columbus. We could do that. So Columbus is here, Detroit's up here. I mean, Toronto's not that far from Detroit, all things considered. So I guess that's why it's such an easy indirect route. You fly to Toronto, hop on a bus or a train and get to Detroit or Columbus. Having a direct route though, probably not the worst thing in the world, given that there is decent demand for it. So I think Dublin to Columbus is probably fair, because the Detroit connection to Toronto is pretty straightforward. The Columbus one's a little bit further away. So we'll try this. We'll see how it works out. We're not doing a train. Could I do a train? How much would it be to build that? Oh my God, 300 million. Where would I be building this train track, hypothetically speaking? Hold on, if I zoom way out, where is it? Wait, hold on a minute. Is that train, wait. So the train would go from Dublin to Dundalk to Belfast. I don't know where it would go. I'm actually not too sure where I would be so it needs to cross over here all the way down. It crosses Europe, which is fine. Yeah, we're not doing that. That seems a little bit silly. Just a little bit silly. Let's do this guy instead. I think we'll just use the old Stratus right there, once we have the money for it, of course. Although here's an interesting detail. I'm noticing Detroit has a lot more demand from Dublin right now, so maybe just doing both would be the option. I worry that that's going to take away from my Dublin to Toronto line though, because there's probably a lot of connecting passengers, but I feel like maybe Dublin to Detroit and then we do Dublin to Columbus. Like maybe we just do all of them. That seems like a sort of reasonable thing to do, is just connect everywhere that people want to go to, and people will eventually get on those planes and go there. I think that's just how we're going to do this, to be totally honest with you. It is still a really expensive investment, and if it doesn't work out, it's kind of a problem. But I think this is kind of what we're going to do. Also, I think what is this? The 150% is the tourism bonus. So that'll likely be the marketing agency that I've put in Dublin, is increasing the number of people that want to go places. So in theory, once we get these last couple of million that we need for this thing, this plane should fill up, which it does. And that's kind of good news for me. So instantly, that is a ton of money from that particular route. That will deal, I would imagine, with some of the Columbus demand. It doesn't. Okay, so Dublin over to Columbus right here. And again, we're going to be using, oh, we have some other plane options coming through. This one has a capacity of 195. Now that's tempting. I'm not going to lie. That's really, really tempting. But I just think the 132, saving that little, $40 million is probably the right thing to do. I don't think I want to overdo it. And there we go. We have a plane going from Dublin to Columbus with 132 people on board, which is great. That should be more profit for me. I'm not convinced it's going to fill up on the way back, but that's totally fine. I'm honestly completely okay with that. It is relatively busy on the way back, which I can work with. As long as we're making money from these plane lines, I'm not super concerned, because we are starting to make a ton of money. That's the thing. We're up at 111 million already. London has demand for Alicante, which is something we're doing, but I would kind of like to do that myself, all things considered. We also have places that want to go to London. Even Southampton wants to go to London. I think London to Alicante, though, is one that we can do. We can use the Sky Dancer. It's kind of the cheaper option. It also, it carries a decent number of people, so we'll create that route. That'll be fine. It's not going to be super busy. It's not going to make a ton of money, but it is a connection that we otherwise don't have, so it should be fine. I would imagine it'll get a little bit busier now that we're moving people down towards, well, down into Spain. That'll be a nice little eventual moneymaker, I would imagine. No idea if it actually will, but I would imagine that eventually it'll make more money than it's making right now. Anyway, here's a little something I would like to do just before we wrap things up for today. Cambridge has demand for going into London. So we're going to just create a little bus route that goes down to London from Cambridge, because there are a ton of people that want to go there. We will have maybe 2 buses. We don't have any more buses available. Okay, let's look at the route, buy a vehicle. We'll buy one of the smaller ones, which didn't really fill up, and that's okay. As long as we can move people down there, I'm okay with that. Now, when it comes to London itself, I want to do a fuel depot in here, because that's going to reduce the operating costs of vehicles that leave this city by 25%. So I'm going to save money right there. I'm going to spend some money to upgrade London to level 15. What level do I need? 20 to get this last upgrade here? I'm going to spend more money to get to level 20, because I think, oh, hold on. Does it have to be an actual level? It has to be an actual level 15, which it isn't. So that's fine. I think I'm only upgrading the hub level here. So we'll not worry about that. That's fine. We can have 80 vehicles in London, which is good. London currently has a bank balance of 53 million, which I will get back at the end of the month. But what I'm going to do is give them another 20, 40 million. And I'm going to say expand the city. And so in doing this, the hub manager, as you can see, I think they actually just gave me all that money. That's what they, again, end of the month, they give me the money. But the hub manager will now essentially take over the management of all my lines, connect to places that we're not already connected to, and will sort of optimize things as best as it possibly can to make sure that London is connected to everywhere that London wants to go to, which is good. Also, you might have noticed some of the vehicles have changed colors around here. That is because the companies that were operating in here, which I think one of them was the Arabian one, the other one was the French company, they have been bought out by Nigeria Fleet. which is a company worth $5.7 billion right now. So that's part of why I'm trying to expand the way I am. That's part of why I'm trying to make sure that we have as much money as we can get. Because if we look in here at the company's thing, operating profit right now, these guys are doing 151 million. I'm fourth, so I'm not too bad. Company value, I mean, I'm here, but again, the worry is that we might get taken over by one of these bigger companies. Now, something I have been considering doing that I think could be kind of fun is taking over Transit Australia at some point. We don't have the money to buy them out right now, but I think at some point it would be kind of cool to just set up a little transport network in Australia. There's no other companies operating on the continent, so taking over Transit Australia, getting everything connected by trains and planes, I think that would be kind of neat. So that's a thing I'm sort of considering doing. But I think for now, my goal is just optimize London, optimize Dublin. I might honestly throw a hub manager into Dublin as well. That might not be a terrible idea. We're also running some very small planes still from like Dublin to Manchester. I don't know how busy that route necessarily is. There's actually a lot of passengers on it. So we could, if we wanted to, we're gonna try it out. We're gonna hub manage Dublin. We'll put some money in there. We're gonna hub manager expand, and we'll give him 100 million. And he spent all of it instantly. He spent all of it. One of those is admittedly a boat from Dublin to Tijuana, which is a bit of a distance. That's why is that a thing? How long does that take? That is a 9,000 mile journey that takes 196 hours. That is an almost 400 hour round trip. Why would we not just use a plane? That's absolutely insane. Hold on a minute. Let me get rid of you. I'm gonna do this one manually. You know what? Actually, let me set this hub manager to maintain routes for a second. Dublin to wait, we might not have a plane that can do this actually. Tijuana is right there. Planes, yeah, none of my planes can cover that distance is the problem. So that checks out. Even this one, we need 5,211 miles. We can cover less than that. So let's do Dublin to, I don't know, Dublin to Dallas, and then over to Tijuana. Can we do that? We can. That could be interesting. We could do Dublin to Atlanta. That's usually like that's a good hub for the US. So Dublin to Atlanta, then Atlanta to Tijuana. Sure. We need $118 million to make this happen. This is ridiculous. I don't know why this is like, out of all the places they could do a boat route to, it's Tijuana. But you know, part of what impresses me about this is that the plane from Dublin to Atlanta is full, and there are quite a few people on board that want to go to Tijuana. So I'm not judging, like, that's fine. It just seems like it's an odd, I don't think Dublin in real life does a direct flight to Tijuana is what I'm getting at. And they certainly don't do a boat from Dublin to Tijuana. I don't think anyone's spending 200 hours in a boat across the Atlantic to go through the Panama Canal and up the west coast of the US. Yeah, it's certainly interesting. I am curious to see if this plane makes any good money though. Coming back from Atlanta, it's basically empty. So it is very much a one-way trip, but you know what? I'm okay with that. We are still making a ton of money elsewhere, so I don't think it's the end of the world. Yeah, we're still making pretty good money. I would like to just have a look at my lines. This one here, this bus is just stuck. It hasn't moved in ages and I still can't get rid of it. In fact, did I just get rid of it? No, it's still there. Truro to St. David's. I don't know why this is here. I've never quite understood it. It's not really making money either, and I can't get rid of those. So we're kind of stuck with them. Again, not sure what's going on with that. Limerick to Kilkenny is an interesting one. Is it making money? There are passengers. It just seems like a very inefficient line, perhaps. Not really too sure what's going on with that. If we have a look at Limerick, There are people wanting to go to, oh wow, hold on. Dublin might be getting overcrowded. Is the Toronto situation in Dublin getting out of hand? We need to go so far down to see where people, oh my God. Hold on. I need to see where people are wanting to go here. There's a lot of people wanting to go to Toronto. Okay. You know what? The other stuff can wait. Dublin to Toronto is kind of my priority here. So Dublin to Toronto is here. We have one plane doing that. I would like to upgrade that to a bigger plane if I have that option. So the Stratus 236 can carry way more people. It is also faster. So we'll replace it. We'll go for the Stratus 236, gives us the bigger plane, which is great. I would hope and assume that this thing fills up when it gets back to Dublin now. That would be my assumption because so it fills up on the way back, which is exactly what we're looking for. But there are still going to be, I would assume, a solid 1,000, if not more, people waiting in, oh my God, these menus, waiting in Dublin to go back over to Toronto. Yeah, 1,700, 1,000 for Detroit as well. So the Detroit line is hugely popular too. So the Stratus 236, it's 66 million for that upgrade. We do have the 822-295, which can carry 295 people. I think that range is okay. It is a cheaper upgrade. So if we look at the 236, it's 236 people. This is 295 people. Estimated profit 26 million versus 33 million. Interesting. I don't understand why it would be that way. That's an interesting little detail. That is still a decent jump of like 7 million in profits, but then it begs the question, why wouldn't I just use the one that's going to estimate 33 million in profits? It is more expensive, but the profits are quite considerably higher. So we'll make, oh, that's why we have a limited inventory. Okay. Let's make this jump for, oh, we're out of stock on that one too. Oh man, we need to get to the end of the month so I can get more planes. That's where we're at here. For the time being, where is this plane? It is on its way into Detroit. So let's get another one. 120 million. Yeah, that's why we make the upgrades. It's a little cheaper to make the upgrades than it is to just put a new plane on there. Either way, we're gonna have to upgrade those lines. We're gonna have to get better planes. But we are making hundreds of millions of dollars now. So if we can maintain these connections and get people moving back and forth in a good way, we're gonna be fine. I am slightly concerned about all of these other vehicles, these other companies, or this main other company coming in here. They are covering like London to Preston, for example, which is a pretty popular line. I don't know if I'm covering that. I would like to, but I've really got no idea. So hopefully we can do something about it. I am going to experiment though. We're going to go to Portsmouth here. We're going to buy these guys out. We're going to upgrade a couple of times. We're going to put a hub manager in here and we're going to give him a couple of million. We'll give him like 60 million and see what he does. So Portsmouth, London, Portsmouth to Tijuana. God damn it. Why do we insist? Why? What's even further away, isn't it? That's got to be further away. Hold on. Yeah, 9,000 round trip. I'm gonna say that we don't do Portsmouth to Tijuana. That seems silly. It's making money though, I guess. Yeah. Maybe we don't do Portsmouth to Tijuana. That seems a little silly. Anyway, we have managed to succeed today in doing the things that I wanted to do. I wanted to take over London and I wanted to get some connections to the United States with some transatlantic flights, which we have managed to do. So I'm willing to call this a huge success for Nerdsoft Logistics, at least so far. And I'm definitely curious to see how things continue. I think it would be interesting to try and get a foothold in either Canada or the US, maybe trying to take over Toronto or Detroit so that we can expand from there. I think some connections to New York would be interesting. Maybe that's the challenge as we take over New York City and see if that's going to be an option. And I mean, to be fair, New York doesn't really have much going on right now. there is a decent amount of demand in here for different routes. It is a company called Canada Solutions that's dealing with it, but I'm not seeing huge amounts of money being made here. So I would reckon that if I was to connect New York to London or Dublin or both, that might do quite well for me. Or if I could just be cheeky and if I could get some kind of foothold in like Providence, for example, or Plymouth or Boston, that would probably work out quite well too. So Dublin to Boston could be an option. I don't know. We'll figure it out is what we'll do. Either way, that is going to do us for today. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. This has been an absolute pleasure as always. And as always, I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.